Welcome to Hello Kind Soul Podcast, where we raise the vibration of kindness on a global scale. I'm Dr. Ebony Green, your host, and I'm super excited to be with you today. If you want to follow us on all major platforms, look us up at Hello Kind Soul Podcast. And if you want to follow me, look me up at E Green Equity. I hope you enjoy the episode. Have a great day. Welcome to Hello Kind Soul Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Green. I'm super excited to be in community with award-winning chef Brandon Walker. I'm so grateful to be in community with you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you. So, this is awesome. I'm so happy and proud of you.
Thank you. I want you to share with the folks, though, some ways we can get in contact with you and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So my name is Chef Brandon Walker. I own and operate a restaurant in Poughkeepsie, New York. It's called Essie's Restaurant. It is located at 14 Mount Carmel Place, Poughkeepsie, New York, 12603. Our website is www.essiesrestaurant, P as in Paul, K as in Catherine.com. Our phone number is 845-452-7181. You can find us on Instagram at Essie's Restaurant PK. You can find us on Facebook the same way at Essie's Restaurant PK. And we also have a YouTube channel, so you can find us at Essie's Restaurant PK as well on YouTube. My story is I am a son of an immigrant. I'm a son of a preacher. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I fell in love with food and hospitality at a very young age. In my home, my dad was from Jamaica, my mom's from the South. So we always had individuals coming over from the island to stay with us. If someone needed a place to stay, my mom, we put them up, they stay with us. So I've been around hospitality my whole life, taking care of people, feeding people. And I always cooked with my mom when I was little. So she would cook Thanksgiving. I would be in the kitchen with her. She would make carrot cake. I would make carrot cake with her. So, I've always been around food. Always been around the way to treat people with food and house them and just hospitality in general. So when I was in high school, I got this opportunity to go into a tourism program, and I got an opportunity to work in different parts of a hotel as an internship in New York City at the Regency Hotel. And I worked different departments. And then when I got in the kitchen, it just felt like that's where I needed to be. It felt right. It felt in my soul that, this is what you need to do as a career. So I went back to high school. At that time, the internet was just coming alive, and everything was in books. So you want to research at college, you had to go to the college office, and they had these books. You had all these universities in there. They tells you what the SAT score was, what the requirements were. You had to send your letter there, your application. So we did that. And one of my instructors told me about the Culinary Institute. And because at that point I had applied to Johnson & Wales. And she told me about that school. And I said, all right, I'm going to go check it out. I went and checked it out. I went for a tour. As soon as I stepped through the doors, I said, yeah, this is where I need to be. So, I applied. I got in. Long story short, I graduated. Decided to go back to New York City and work a little bit longer just to get some experience for myself. I've worked at many high-end restaurants in New York City just to get knowledge, to get to be a great chef, to get better technically, just to put myself in the gauntlet and really, really do my best to perfect my craft. So I've worked down there for a majority of my career. Then I decided that I wanted to travel. I've been to Japan, I've been to England, I've been to Spain, I've worked in Mexico, I've been to China, I've been in North Korea by boat, I've been to Jamaica. So I've been around a little bit. Overall, I love food. I love to make people have a great time. I love to create food that makes me feel good. And I love to cook globally because I believe that that's what American food is. America is a melting pot of cultures and flavors. And if we have such an opportunity to learn from different cultures and flavors, why not do that to create this thing called American cuisine? And that's pretty much my story in a nutshell. I decided to come back to the Hudson Valley because I liked the Hudson Valley. I grew up in Brooklyn. I thought New York was just New York. I thought it was just the 5 boroughs. I didn't realize New York State was a big state. So when I came up here to go to school, I started learning the area. At that time, there were still a lot of farms, but the craft brewery scene was starting to brew. Breweries started popping up all over the place. Distilleries were all up here. So I like that culture of learning about food and farms. And because, when you go to the Culinary Institute, you get exposed to a lot of those things. And I decided after I left, I said, you know what? I got tired of the city. I said, you know what? I'm done. I think I've reached my ceiling as far as trying to grow down there. And I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to try to set up some grassroots, and I want to open up my own business. And because I always wanted to do that. And I came back up this way, worked for a few people. And then I started my company. I was doing catering and events for a while under my hospitality group. And I started looking, and I found this space in Little Italy in Poughkeepsie. And I said, you know what? I think that's the spot, because it was a neighborhood that nobody was really in. And I wanted to kind of make my mark, and I wanted the people to feel comfortable about the neighborhood and stuff like that, because Poughkeepsie has a stigma, and I don't know why, but, we're trying to change that. We want people to come and see that, this is a great city. It's a very diverse city, a lot of cultures there, a lot of good food there. And so I picked that space, and 8 years later, here we are. And it's been a great ride. It's been a challenging ride, but I love what I do. And I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to share my dream and my craft and my journey with you and your fan base, your following, your people. So I'm really excited about this.
You are very welcome. So interestingly enough, I met you about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was really just like a random, let's go try this food. The reason I asked you to join us today was because when I think of Essie's restaurant, and y'all, if you haven't gone, do yourself a favor and go. I'm telling you, in the moment where you need a warm hug from grandma, go to Essie's restaurant. And I say that because it's not just food, right? There's an experience. And when I think of what grandmas do for folks in this world, it's this notion of comfort and peace. And his restaurant is one of those places where if I need respite, I need to relax, I just kind of want to be and be sure I'm going to have an amazing meal that's savory and makes you feel like comfort, I'm going there. And it made me think about, when I was thinking about asking you to come on, was how do you curate a space that's beyond just a place to eat? Because I think what you're doing is very intentional.
Yeah.
Even in the size of it, right? Yeah. It's not this big place where folks get lost. Everybody kind of knows who's who. What was your thoughts behind creating a space that really nurtures that?
Well, oftentimes, being that I've worked in a lot of high-end restaurants, and oftentimes when you go in those spaces, it can be a little intimidating if you're not used to eating at those levels, right? If you're not used to dressing up and going and sit at a fine dining restaurant. So first thing I thought about was, okay, I know I'm not going to have all the whistles and bells as a fine dining restaurant, because that's not what I really wanted to be. What I wanted to be was, I wanted to create a space for all people to come to make them feel like they're eating in my home, and I cook for them. And at the same time, I wanted it to be warm. I wanted it to be cozy. I wanted to have good vibes, good, cool music, mixture of genre music, but that real neo soul type vibe. And my wife helped me design the restaurant, and she loves that modern country, and I like industrial iron and stuff like that. So we kind of collabed on it in that way. And I felt that I wanted to create that type of environment, but at the same time, I wanted to give my customers good service, good hospitality, right? And done at a casual, but still doing it at a high level, right? So you've been to the restaurant. So you come to the restaurant, you have your meal. We change the silverware each course.
Yes. I was like, what is this?
We change the silverware for each course. We crumb the table in between each course, because I still want you to feel like you're at my house and you're still comfortable. You ain't got to get dressed up to come eat at the restaurant. You can wear, as long as you got clothes, we good. But at the same time, I feel like everyone deserves that same level of experience, no matter what income level you are. And when you come to my restaurant, you're going to get a great experience. You're going to get good food. You're going to get good beverages, and you're going to get good service. You know, in hospitality, I feel like I don't care what level you're working at, whoever's in front of you, they deserve to get your best self at all times. Even if you don't want to be in that job, but they deserve to get your best self at that moment, no matter, because at the end of the day, you signed up to be a part of that organization, be a part of that company. So, you know, that's where my headspace was. I wanted to create an environment for all people to come to get this food, this globally influenced food that I created, that I'm cooking from my heart, and you enjoy it in my space. And that's where my head was.
I love that. Yo, I will say, so I don't really spend a lot of time eating at 5-star restaurants. Shocker. And more so, to your point, they're very intimidating. I eat a lot of elevated food. I do eat at 5-star restaurants. I'm just kidding, y'all. But I don't eat at places that make you feel like you're intruding. Doesn't feel good, right? And this whole idea of like Hello Kind Soul is like, we get to show up in your space. And what was funny is like when they start to swap out the silverware, I was like, oh, what is happening? This is great. Like, right? Like there's these little nuances that you don't know you get to experience there until you go and you have this experience, right? I feel like I skipped a step though. I'm curious, where does the name Essie's come from?
Essie's is actually my grandmother's name. So, you know, I've been inspired by food by all the women in my family. So again, I cooked with my mom. Now, my grandmother's from Jamaica, from the Caribbean. So I grew up around all the Jamaican historical dishes and, you know, national dishes and stuff like that throughout my whole life. So I was exposed to the Caribbean flavors from my grandmother. Every Saturday would be soup. Every Jamaican person in the world knows that every Saturday is soup Saturday. No matter if it's hot, cold, every Saturday, my grandmother has soup on the stove. So if I was hungry, I know I can go downstairs. I say, Granny, you got soup? She said, yes, my grandson, we have soup. You want some? Yes, I want some soup. So, you know, I grew up around curry goat, curry chicken. I grew up around it all. So I chose my mom's mother's name because it's easy to say, it's easy to remember, you know, it rolls off the tongue. So that's where the name came from. And she was a Southern belle. She came from the South, from Virginia. And a lot of my Southern background comes from that side of the family. Learning how to cook the Southern delicacies, fried chicken, collard greens, yams, stuff like that, mac and cheese, stuff like that. So.
I appreciate that. One of the things I was thinking about is how, and at Hello Kind Soul, we talk about all things traveling back to your best self. We talk about healing, right? Things that are cathartic and bring peace and joy in your life. And I think one of the pieces people forget that it's not just the food you eat. I genuinely believe it's the intent that's put into the food you eat, right? 100%. And so like food to me is its own love language. And so I'm wondering, like, when you think about how you prep, you hire, what are the aspects that you're looking for, even in the folks who work for you, that really centers what you believe about the power of food being a healing or a cathartic experience for others?
Well, I mean, because think about it like this. In order to be able to create something beautiful, create something with integrity, you have to care yourself, right? You have to care about the ingredient. You have to care about where the ingredient came from. You have to care about the person who actually created that ingredient for you to buy and use. You know, you just have to care. There has to be some level of integrity in anything that you do in this industry, you know, because it's the hospitality industry, which means you're being hospitable to people, hospitable to your guests. You know, it's taking care of people, right? I mean, I always like to think that no matter where I go to eat, I like to think that anything that we do in this world is hospitality. From going to the cell phone store, from going to the grocery store, because you have all these contacts. When you go into the grocery store and you can't find something, you ask the person who works there, hey, how you doing? Do you work here? That's the hospitality moment right there, trying to help somebody out, right? You go into the phone store, you're trying to get a new phone. there's the hospitality part right there, because that person wants you to buy the phone. They're going to try to sell you this, and that. But if they come to you with bad energy, negative face, not an upbeat temperament, you're not going to buy anything.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's all hospitality, you know? So in my mind, I want someone who cares, number one. Number two, because you really can't teach. You can't teach hospitality. I believe that. You know, I believe that you can probably give people tools to help them be better at it. But I feel like hospitality has to be in your DNA. What I mean by that, you have to be exposed to it at a young age.
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious, like, what happens when, so I think we all are business owners. And so there's times where you hire folks and it doesn't work out. And one of the things we talk about is, you know, how do we communicate in a compassionate way so that folks realize that this may not be your thing, but I'm sure you can do something else somewhere in a really good way. So how do you give instruction or talk with folks who work for you who are necessarily not performing, or you just realize this is not their jam? Like, you're probably good at all these other things, this isn't it. But how do you communicate that in a way that you feel is really on brand with, I just think, generally who you are as a human being?
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've come a long way. You know, I wasn't like how I am now when I first started the restaurant. But my wife helped me see a lot that, you know, the way I was managing before, I need to be better, in other words. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, she opened my eyes to some things. And I said, okay, you know what? You're right. So now what I do is I learn the individual and really see where they're strong at, or do my best to see where they're strong at, and I do my best to put them in a position where they can thrive and be strong. Number two, I do my best to give all my employees all the tools they need to do their job to the best of their ability.
That part.
So, you know, if they're a server in my business, I give them all the menu notes. I teach them about the menu. I teach them about the wines. I give them the wine notes. Let them taste the wine. Let them taste the food. So that way now they have the written, and then they have the actual taste of it. Now, if that individual is not performing and they keep making mistakes, you know, I'd pull them aside and say, John, listen, you're doing great, but you're falling short in this area. Is there anything that we can do to help you improve in this area? Do you need another training? Do you need me to train you more? You know, what's help me help you get better in this situation? And, you know, that's what I've done. And when the person continues, and then I pull them aside, I say, you know what, listen, you're a great individual, but I don't think this is the right position. This employee and employer relationship is not working. I've done my best. I've given you many opportunities. I've retrained you, and it's just not working out for us. I wish you all the best. And if you need me to give you a reference, we definitely could do that. But I don't think this is the right opportunity for you. And I just try to I do my best to be as professional as possible, because you don't know who's in the room.
That part, y'all.
You never know who's in the room, and you don't know who people know.
Yeah.
So, you know, even when you've been to the restaurant, you see me go to the tables and stuff like that.
100%.
You know, and I just, you know, because you have to treat people like people. You know, you have to be kind. You have to be professional, number one. And you don't know who people know.
I love that you have to treat people as people. Like, I think, and the reason I asked that question is because so often I feel like people forget that people are people. Like, you know what I mean? And it may not work out. But to your point, there are some folks that it didn't work out with, even in my sphere. And 10 years later, that same person has come back to be like, oh, I'm doing da-da-da-da-da. And they're happy, but they're thankful that I didn't allow them to continue to struggle in a place that really wasn't suited for them. And they left with dignity. They left with their humanity. They left knowing that you have the ability to do a bunch of amazing things. This particular moment It was just not the moment.
But also, and you're right. But also too, Ebony, there are some people in the world who think they know it all and they want to do it their way, and they think their way is the best way. And although they think their way is the best way, it's not the standard of the environment.
That part. So like feedback matters, y'all. We've talked about critical feedback, and interestingly enough, I think to your point, there's a lot of people that struggle hearing from other people the things they need to improve.
Yes.
But in order to be great,
yes,
to be exceptional, and feedback is what plays the part.
Yes, and they think that it's an attack on their integrity and their personality.
100%.
But it's really not.
Yeah, 100%.
It's you're not doing the job right to the standard of the organization that you sign up to work for.
Well, and also you always wonder, I always thought about like when other people go from one place to another, you have to go into the new space with an open mind, because what practices you did not have at the other place.
Sometimes they don't apply to that place.
Exactly.
And that's the challenge, because if certain habits you had in your last place, those habits might not be great in a new place. And now you got to break those habits. And it's hard for some people to do that.
Yeah. I'm curious. So I have two questions that are in my mind. I'm gonna do one. I'll do the first one and then I'll go to the second one. One's fun, which is I have my own favorites on your menu. Like, and I can tell y'all, if you go there, get the jerk ribs, get the jambalaya croquettes. If you get a chance to have the Wagyu Big Mac, go all in. It's delicious. But what are your favorite menu items? Like, give us two of your favorite items that either are on the menu now or were on the menu, because you changed the menu.
Yeah. My favorite items are the jerk ribs.
100%. They're so good.
The jambalaya croquettes. The grits croquettes. The beet nachos is one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah,
as well.
Those are good.
It's not on the menu right now, but my goat bolognese is really good. I love that dish. I've done so many over the years.
You had a bird's nest that when you took it off the menu, I was really sad. I was like, this was my favorite.
The bird's nest was fire too. I used to do this duck dish. I called it, I used to buy this local duck breast, and I would do a play on dirty rice. I called it this is dirty rice, but it was done in the risotto style. So dirty risotto. So I did, risotto, peppers. So like a classic dirty rice, but done risotto style. And then I, pancit the duck breast, put a duck breast on top and made a sweet and sour. So it was good. I used to do octopus. A lot.
You had squid ink.
My squid ink cavatelli is good too. It's on the menu right now.
There was a brunch you had. It was a squid ink.
Oh, that eggs Benedict. The eggs Benedict, the crab.
People love that, y'all.
The squid ink hollandaise with the crab cake and the egg.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. Yeah.
So like, that
was good.
What do you do? Like, you're a chef, right?
Yep.
It's like when I go, I'm an educator by, career. So when I go into school, I'm already looking. How do you keep yourself from being critical in restaurants? Because you're used to great food, fine dining, all the things. Like, what do you do when you go in a restaurant?
So when I go out to eat, when I go out to eat, I don't look to be critical.
I love that.
I just look to have a good time. Although I'm in the industry, I keep an open mind. I say, you know what? I'm going to go here. I'm just going to enjoy myself. I don't have any preconceived notions about the restaurant. Before I go, I look at the menu to see what's on the menu, what I might like. So that way I'm not wasting any time. And then I walk in. If I see if I'm greeted hospitably, I'm always happy, have good energy. Hey, how you doing? Thank you. How you doing today? I have good energy going in. When it's like once I get sat, I try to my interaction with this person who's serving me, I make sure that I have good energy. I ask them how they're doing. How's your night going tonight? How are things? How long have you worked here? Because, you don't know what that person is going through. They could be having a tumultuous night with customers who's being crazy to them. And I don't want to be that guy. I want to help them have a good night with my good energy. Ask them how they doing. Is everything going great? How long you been working here? Trying to find out some information about them. And that's it. And I make my order and I enjoy my food.
I love that.
and just hope that my food comes out the way I ordered it. That's it. Like every other customer. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't come out the way I don't order it, if it's something that I'm okay with, like letting slide, then I'll do it. But if it's something that, like, for example, like one time I went out and my fish was undercooked. So I said, hey, can you just cook this a little more for me? And it came back to cook me more. It's fine.
Yeah.
Because see, a lot of times people go out to eat, right? And I don't like this, but people do it all the time. A lot of times people go out to eat and they will have an issue with their food. They don't bring up the issue. They don't give the restaurant the opportunity to fix the problem. And then they go through their whole meal and then wait to the end and say, oh, my food wasn't this, my food was that. That's unfair. You got to give the operation, the restaurant, the opportunity to fix the meal so that way they can make good. Now, if you told them and then it happens again and again, okay, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
But nine times out of 10, give the business the opportunity to fix their issue. Don't eat half your food and then say, oh, I didn't like this. Like that makes no sense. How are you going to eat half the food and then tell the server, oh, it wasn't seasoned right, or I didn't like it. Like it's not right. It's not right. Because you know what, things happen. People forget that there's human beings working in a restaurant, right? Yeah. And some days I have an off day.
Yep.
Some days my cooks may have an off day. Some days somebody's mother might be died, but they came to work anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So give us some grace. Like, come on now. Like, can you? And half the people haven't even worked in hospitality before.
Well, when you were just telling me the way you like prep people with the notes, and so I've never worked in a restaurant ever. Yeah, or hospitality. Yeah. So I don't even know what goes in on the back end of it.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. People don't understand. There's a whole process that restaurants go through to prepare people to serve you in the restaurant.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, if you have a server, let's say if I was waiting on you, right? And you came into, I don't know, Arts of Liberation restaurant. And I said, welcome to Arts of Liberation. Welcome to Hello Kind Soul Restaurant. I'll be your server for the evening. Have you been here before? No, well, welcome. Let me show you how our menu works. This is appetizers, entrees, and this is the dessert. Our appetizers are a little smaller, so if you want, we recommend that you share the items because they're a little smaller, and so and so and so. And I'll give you a few moments. And if you have a question, the shrimp and grits dish, we get our grits from South Carolina. The chef prepares the French shrimp. He sautés them. He finishes it with garlic and preserved lemon. And also he has some white wine in there. He cooks it in some white wine. He finishes it with some fresh herbs. Well, I'm gluten-free. Well, it's totally gluten-free. It's dairy-free. If you don't eat meat, you're good. We can take the meat out of the dish. Now you're like, wow, this brother knows his stuff. You know what I mean? So like, at the end of the day, 90% of the time, if you're that knowledgeable about what you're serving, your compensation for serving the guest is going to be higher because you're knowledgeable about what you're serving.
Yeah.
And that takes someone who cares about the craft of hospitality.
Yeah.
And that's anything in life. If you're an engineer, if you're an electrician, if you're a plumber, you got to care enough about the craft to want to do a good job.
Yeah.
And if you want to be an expert.
Yeah. And, it's interesting, though, because I know some people know nothing about it. So I'm curious, like, we're going to wrap up soon, but I have 2 questions. I have 3 questions. One, have you taken a chance on someone? Because I think, to your point,
I know where you're going.
Granting grace, right? Like, Have you taken a chance on someone and I don't want to do the negative, so I'm going to say, and have been pleasantly surprised at how hard they worked to learn the craft, right? Because not everybody gets the blessing of the culinary. Like the culinary, folks, for those who don't know, is world-renowned. This isn't local to New York. The culinary is world-renowned in terms of training chefs. So have you kind of stumbled upon someone who was just willing to do the work to get there, and you've kind of nurtured them.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. This individual wasn't even cooking. They were in the front of the house.
Oh, wow.
This individual had no formal front of the house training. She just loved being in hospitality. She had a great attitude. She wanted to learn. She wanted to learn specifically more about wines and stuff like that. So I said, okay, listen, if you really want to do this, this is the path you should take. You should really start, if you want to learn more about wine, consider becoming a sommelier. Here's the organization that you need to check out. And as a matter of fact, she asked me about this program at the Culinary Institute they were giving, like a continuing ed program. And I said, you know what? If you're really serious about it, I'll help you. So I helped her. She went and took the course, and she worked for me for about a year and a half, 2 years. And then she moved down to New York City. And, I told her, and by work with me, I said, listen, if you're going to go to New York, here's what you can expect. They're going to expect attention to detail. They're going to expect you to be professional. They're going to expect you to know your craft, to be a good professional, right? So she left, she went down there, and now she wrote me this nice letter after she left, thanking me and stuff like that and believing in her and stuff like that. And now she's ran restaurants. She's a manager at a restaurant, I believe now in Brooklyn or in the city. And her partner, I believe, they're thinking about opening up a space or something like that. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's dope. Listen, y'all, if you can give a hand up, it's not a handout, a hand up for folks who need a little help, do that. Don't, be unapologetic about it, and don't, move away from that, right? Be clear why you want to help folks, how you want to help folks, and continue to do it. One more question or two more questions that I think is important. One is specifically related to, as business owner, right? You have purpose, and I absolutely can imagine you living in your purpose, right? Even within that purpose, there is struggle when it comes to how we persist and persevere when it gets tough. So my biggest question is...
I know a lot about that.
Right? So what does it mean to... How do you stay in your purpose even when it gets tough? Because this is what you're here to do. What do you say to yourself? What's the self-talk? Because part of what we really focus on is how do we persist when it's hard? Because it's good when it's easy. When it's easy, you're here we are. This is great, right? But every business owner has these cycles of growth and scale and then struggle. Yeah. How do you keep a humble, kind heart in the hard times? Well,
I pray a prayer. I also just think about my dad and my parents. And, how hard they worked to provide me the opportunity to become a chef.
That part.
My dad is an immigrant. My dad has no formal, he doesn't have any formal college education, I believe. And he came here, he made it happen. And for him to provide me the opportunity to go to the best culinary school in the world, that's huge.
That is huge.
That's really huge. So, I can't quit, because if my dad can come here with nothing and make something of himself, then, I could commit to what I have going on and make it happen and make it work. So I think about my parents, think about the people who have paved the way for me, the people who have sacrificed things for me. I'm married, so I think about my wife who sacrifices for me all the time to operate this business, and so I don't quit because I know they're counting on me to succeed. So those are the talks that I give to myself. And I think about too, all the time that I've put into this career. All the sleepless nights. I think about the sleepness, the hard work, riding on the train in New York City. Just, motivating myself to be better every day, all the hard kitchens that I've worked in. I think about all those things, and that's what pushes me and motivates me, because I want to be great.
I would argue, though, Brandon, you're already great.
I appreciate that.
Right?
Thank you.
Right? I think language has power, and I think sometimes when we're in it, we don't, someone told me recently, go sit down and write a write an entry for every month of what you did this year.
It's true. It's because it's so often like, you're striving to be better every day or striving to do the next thing. We never take the time to look back where we've come from. And I do that a lot. From 2016 till now, I've done so much. I don't even remember. I opened my restaurant in 2016, and the things that I've done, the people that have passed that I've crossed, like Steven Spielberg was at my restaurant.
Yes, he was. That's a big deal.
Like Steven Spielberg was at my restaurant. I had, what's his name? The guy who played the Hulk, the actor.
Lou Ferrigno?
Yeah, no, not him. The newer, not.
Dang it, I can't remember.
You know who I'm talking about. He played in the Marvel movie. Anyway,
yeah,
I had that brother came through. So many. Bill Murray's been in my restaurant. So it's just all these little things that have happened to me that I've, it's like it's under the rug because it's gone now, and that's the next thing. We got to keep moving. We got to keep going. So. I would really employ people to just really take the time to really just look back and say, okay, where have we come from? Where have I come from? So
sitting it.
Yeah. So, it's even I don't even know how I got through COVID.
Bruh, that's a whole nother podcast series, y'all. I saw this man in COVID, because in my head, I was like, this is one of my favorite places. I just got to be open. Man, that's a whole nother story.
Yes, it's a lot.
Listen, y'all, don't, I'm going to leave with one more question, which is really about, it's always centering. We end off saying to our guests, what does it mean to be a kind soul to you? What does that mean? And how we live our life in service of other people?
A kind soul, it means a lot because, I just feel like there's no excuse not to be kind to someone.
Mm.
We have this thing, the gift called life. We wake up every day. I just think of all the people who are not in the position that we are right now because there's somebody's story is always worse than yours. So,
for sure,
the issues that I'm having in life, somebody's having it worse. We could be getting bombed right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So, I wake up every morning and I thank God for being alive. And I'm intentional about the experiences I have, interactions I have every day. Hey, how you doing today? It says nothing wrong. It's not hard to say, hey, how you doing today? With a smile. So, you have to be intentional just to be kind because if you want kindness to come to you, you have to be kind to someone else.
Touche. Well, listen.
So
if you haven't gone to his restaurant, it's called Essie's Restaurant. It's in Poughkeepsie. Amazing food, great people. Everyone there. I had one experience there. I'll tell real quick before we jump off. You have these whiskey nights or tequila nights, wine dinners, right? And it's like everybody sits together. And when I walked in, I was like, what is this? Because I don't really like peopling a lot. Most people don't know that about me, but I'm not a big fan of peopling. And we all sat around this table and Brandon proceeded to literally prepare 5 amazing plates. And was paired with whatever, it was either tequila night or whiskey night or whatever. But what I thought was really dope and it captures, I think puts a nice pin in our conversation today was that by the time the dinner was over, I walked in nervous about the people I was sitting with. And by the time the dinner was over, we were laughing and joking and sharing stories with each other about different experiences with whiskey or the meal and talking. And there was this beautiful moment of community. And we're in this space in life right now where we have almost forgot what it feels like to care about people just because we can.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I always remember was this incredible experience with community, with people I didn't know, that all connected us with these beautiful meals and this willingness to talk with each other without judgment, right?
And that's why I like to do those dinners is because think about this. A lot of things throughout history has happened at the table.
100%.
Over food and breaking bread.
Yeah.
it's for some reason why it happens that way. I don't know, but it's a integral part in any culture around the world.
Yeah.
That you break bread and things are shared and things and traditions are passed down.
Yeah.
In the kitchen too.
Yep.
So, it's I love doing those things because it brings people together and you meet people who you've never met before. You get a contact. You might get a business deal. You never know because people ask you, what do you do? Oh, I do this, I do that. Oh, you know what? Let me get your number. I might have a friend. So that's why we do them. And another thing is that you get to taste some great food too.
Yeah.
So, I love what I do. And I don't know what else I would be doing if I wasn't cooking. I love food.
I appreciate you joining us today. I'm going to end on that note. I love to do what I do, and I don't know what else I would do if it wasn't cooking. Yeah. I'm so grateful to be able to sit here and have this conversation with you.
It's been my pleasure. I really appreciate you thinking of me, this little chef out of Poughkeepsie from Brooklyn. I really appreciate you. I'm proud of you, and anything I can do to help you in your business, I'm there for you. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Y'all have an amazing, amazing week. And remember, don't let anyone take the joy out of your joy. Peace.